private member statements. Are there any statements? I call the member for Swansea.
Thank you, Mr Acting Speaker. Mr Acting Speaker, I rise here today to pay tribute to a number of groups who have held functions in recent times at which my wife and I have attended. I'll go into greater detail in relation to each of these groups at a later date, but I'll choose just to mention each of them briefly today. Mr Acting Speaker, on Sunday the 10th of June, my wife and I attended a fundraiser organised by Alex and Jenny Gaudron on behalf of the Newcastle Kidney Transplant Group. It was the 18th Novocastrian Ballroom titles. There were competitors from all over New South Wales, competitors and judges from all over New South Wales. And over the last 2 years, this particular group, on behalf of the Newcastle Kidney Transplant Group, have raised in excess of $13,000 for the purchase of dialysis equipment for the John Hunter Hospital. Mr Acting Speaker, on Friday last, the 15th of June, I was very fortunate to be invited to the Hunter Surf Lifesaving Awards of Excellence held at West Leagues Club at Newcastle. I'm even more pleased to advise that out of all of the surf clubs in the Hunter region, from Barruby Point all the way down to the southernmost surf club at Catherine Hill Bay, which falls into my electorate, out of all of those surf clubs, the 4 within the Swansea electorate being Redhead, Swansea Belmont, Caves Beach and Catherine Hill Bay, my 4 surf clubs absolutely smashed it. They excelled. They absolutely smashed it. They took out a huge number of awards, and I will indeed go into this in greater detail at a future time. But one mention that I must make now is the president of Caves Beach Surf Club was actually received the award for Surf Lifesaver of the Year, an extraordinary achievement for a fellow who heads up a very, very active and successful surf club. Mr Acting Speaker, then on Saturday night, my wife and I attended, along with one of my daughters actually, attended the 114th Filipino Independence Day celebration, again at West Leagues Club in Newcastle. And I pass on my congratulations to Mrs Virgie Hudson, President of the group, and to her very hard-working executive. These ladies work extremely hard. They run this function every year, and indeed they raise a lot of money for charities as well. Mr Acting Speaker, then actually on Sunday morning, I was honoured to represent the Minister for Emergency Services, Minister for Police and Minister for the Hunter, the Honourable Michael Gallagher from that other place, at the Lake Macquarie Volunteer Appreciation Day, and in particular it was for the Lakes team of the Rural Fire Service. Now I note that my colleague from Tamworth acknowledged that he'd recently attended his local RFS function where they'd accumulated over 1,500 years in volunteer service. Now that's a great effort because the members here. Indeed, the Lake Macquarie team, they've accumulated 944 years in volunteer service. Again, something not to be sneezed at. And I'd like to mention just a couple of people from that. Mr Alan Winslow and Jeff Smith both received 35 years long service award for Alan and 30 years long service award for Jeff Smith. And both Gwendolyn Deeves and Roger Wilson each received awards for 45 years service to the Rural Bushfire Service. An extraordinary thing. And I should mention that at that function I was accompanied by the Mayor of Wyong, Mr Bob Graham, the Mayor of Lake Macquarie, and in fact also the Member for Lake Macquarie, Greg Piper. It was just a wonderful event. We also had the blessing of the fleet, and I spent that little bit of the time with friends of mine with the service, the Joneses from North Wharf. So more to follow on these matters, Mr. Acting Speaker.
This week's diary.
I thank the House for their indulgence.